Right, we move on to a slightly different topic. We're looking at cost of sales. And this is to do with departmental accounts. We'll be looking at that next. But we sort of need to figure out, well, cost of sales, what is it, what do we do? And yeah, we'll get into the definition to illustrate what it is. Okay, so when we start looking at anything a trading concern, so that's a business that sells things like a bar or a restaurant or a retail store, we need to consider, well, what are the costs of that operation? So the costs, or the cost of sales, are normally, well, what does it sell normally during that period? So let's think about the warehouse. Now, the warehouse is a big retail store in New Zealand. It earns money by selling products off the shelves. So the money it earns, well, these are called sales. Now, the cost of purchasing these products and selling them, well, that's called cost of sales. So the cost of actually restocking the shelves and and the things off the shelves, that's cost of sales. Now, for example, really quick example of talking about a bar, and you might have bottles of beers, and each one maybe might be $8 for a glass when you're selling it. Now you need to restock that bottle of beer though, and so you have a cost, and that might be $3 a bottle. Okay, you're making a profit on each bottle, and so so that's $5 a bottle. That's your profit. Now, some terms that we're going to see there in a second is, that profit is actually called gross profit. The profit from selling items, that's actually gross profit. Yep, that's our sales. And now that cost, that $3, well, that's our cost of sales. Now that's easy because that's just one item that you sold, you get sales, cost, gross profit. It gets a bit trickier when we start looking at hundreds of items, and when we start to go, well, we have some things at the beginning of the year, we've got some things left over at the end of the year. How much did we actually sell during the year? So, to actually calculate it, we calculate cost of sales over a period of time, usually a year. But some places do it each month. Because if we match it to the sales for that same period, well, we can match the costs to that same period and then accurately calculate the gross profit for that period. So the things we need are, well, how much did we have at the start of the period? How much did we buy or purchase during the period? And then how much inventory did we have at the end of the period? So these are the three things that we need to be able to calculate cost of sales. So how it's calculated? Well, we take our opening stock, or our inventory, and we have a number. We do a stock take. We do a count. How much do we have on hand at the start of the year? And we come up with a value. Then we have our purchases. What did we buy during the year? How much did we pay out? Finally, we minus closing stock. That's the stock at the end of the period, at the end of the year. Now we take this off because we haven't yet sold it. That's going to be sold next year. So it's still on hand. We haven't sold it yet, so we want to just leave it. Let's take it out of the equation. So what you're left with is cost of sales. You're actually left with, well, this is the actual cost for the year and what we've actually had to, what's cost us to get the sales that we've had. So that's cost of sales. So very important equation to memorise: opening stock plus purchases minus closing stock. Now, the other one that I sort of mentioned on the board about gross profit. Well, gross profit can be calculated. Gross profit is the profit made from selling items before any other expenses deducted. So how it's calculated is you take your sales, you minus cost of sales, and that equals gross profit. So just like what I had on the board, that I had $8 sales minus $3 cost equals $5 gross profit. You can then use it using those figures, maybe for 1 year, because sales less cost of sales is gross profit. Okay, so that's it for cost of sales. There's a couple of questions in Canvas that you can work through about calculating cost of sales and calculating gross profit, but it's highly you have to keep, highly important. You have to keep on top of it if you're running any hospitality business, because cost of sales is so important in keeping a good gross profit, keeping a profit going in the business.